FlossTube. This is Sara from the Windy City Stitchers. That's the name of our FlossTube channel. And I'm not sure which video it is, maybe five. But if anybody can lose track of the numbers on one hand, it's me, because I'm not so mathy, as I like to say. I don't feel bad about it. That's just reality. Anyway, hi and welcome. Janet is taking this video off. She's got some stuff going on with moving houses, so hopefully she'll join us next time. So I'm just gonna run through some of the stuff that I've purchased recently, and then I'm gonna show you some whips, and then I want to share that antique sewing basket with you. Laura from Brenda and the Cereal Starter shared this a couple of videos ago. Somebody had sent her a box, like a gift set of these vintage simplicity designs that Joanne, I guess, was selling. I totally missed this whole thing somehow. But anyway, she showed this in her last video, and I was like, well, I'll try it, see if I can find one on eBay. And sure enough, I did. I found a whole new box set for $11 or something. Anyway, the set came with this clipboard that's got the signature vintage simplicity print on it. It's like a cover of an old-fashioned pattern. And then it also came with this journal, which I will never use, but it looks cool. I'll donate it or something. It also came with this little zipper pouch. That's, you know, it's not very nice fabric, but it's cute with the design on there. Oh, you know, I got a couple magnets too, not part of the box set, but same line. Those are really cute. The box set also comes with these 3 little notebooks. Each one has a different, you know, pattern and cover model. And, oh, it came with this little bookmark thing too. There might have been one other thing, I can't remember. But anyway, I'm all about vintage sewing stuff, as I'll bet a lot of you are as well. So I just thought I'd show the pieces of that in case anybody else wanted to try to find that. It's out there. All right, I've got 2 books to share too. One is this one is called Women's Work, Embroidery in Colonial Boston. But anyway, this one I think was recommended by Nicola Parkman on her FlossTube, and it's a beautiful coffee table book. I think originally it was $40, which seems about right for a book like this. As a graphic designer, I'm gonna put my graphic designer hat on for a second. I am a big book cover nerd fan, and this is a particularly beautiful cover. It's like a cream color background, and then it has beautiful antique embroidery on the full wraparound, and it's embossed. So if you're a book appreciator like I am, you'll really enjoy this. Plus, I'm pretty sure I only paid $11 for this. It might have been $7. It was definitely an odd number, and it was under $20. I think it was $11 though. And the thing, it's just full of color plates of, you know, antique textiles, embroidery, all kinds of things, and very interesting history that goes along with it. So I give this a thumbs up too. It's pretty cool stuff. So this one is called Antique Needlework Tools, and it's by, and Embroideries, and it's by Nerilla Taunton. Published in 1997, I think. And for some reason I was like, oh gosh, I hope it's not in black and white, and it's not, it's in color. I mean, I was around in 1997. I don't know why I thought it would be in black and white. But anyway, yes, it's in full color. Almost every page has a color photograph and description of that particular category of needlework tools. It covers a whole range of things. I wouldn't say it covers your sort of like lowbrow basic day-to-day stuff very much, which would also be interesting. It's more like the high-end things, but it's really fascinating. And when I got this, I paged through every page. I read a little bit, but mostly just looked at the pictures so far. And just in doing that, I figured out what some of the objects were in this antique basket I'm going to be showing you in a minute. I was really excited to find that stuff out. It just takes a little bit of research and you can figure, you know, find the answers to things sometimes, which is kind of cool. So anyway, I think I got this for, well, I don't know, it had to be less than 10 bucks because that whole order of 4 books and everything was under $30. So anyway, I got it for a good deal. So I just, you know, recommend looking around sometimes and see what you can find. Another thing I've gotten recently is I went on the hunt for a specific color green that I ran out of on one of my samplers. And I had the thread drop was marked with the wrong name. I think I put it on one that I thought was a blank, not realizing that the other side had a name on it. And then I kept seeing the name on it thinking that's what the floss was, and it wasn't. So I ran out of it and I was like, that's not the right thing. So then I figured out what the right thing was, which was an NPI green, and I tried to find it, and every place I looked with the right number, it did not match the thread that I had. So I must have had a different dye lot or something. But anyway, so story short, I lost self-control and I started buying all the different shades of olive green that exist in the world to try to well, fill in gaps in my thread collection, and also to try to match that particular green. I did end up finding something that's very close, but since it's an over dye, only, you know, it's still a little off, but it's pretty close. So anyway, those are some of my new flosses. And the last thing that I was going to show that is a recent purchase is Caroline Amelia Trowel. This is a chart from Brenda Gervais. And did I share this last time? I don't think I did. Anyway, I'm gonna wear my graphic designer hat one more time here. The design of this booklet is really nice. It's very beautiful. There's like little genealogy documentation in there. There's a history write-up. There's photos of the front and the back of the antique that it was based on. The chart is awesome. I'm not really somebody who's paid that much attention to, I guess, the quality of the charts on the, and things that I buy. Although when you have a bad one, you know it because it's a pain in the butt. But this one, again, this is a Brenda Gervais chart. The chart is beautiful. It's in full color. The symbols are easy to read, and yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It's a super cute chart. There's a shepherd, and she talks in here how one of the little houses might be a shepherd hut. And coincidentally, I just saw a shepherd hut being used in the movie The Dig, which is with Ralph Fiennes. Anyways, a really good movie. And in the movie, they actually show a shepherd hut being moved across the field. So it made me think of this chart, and this little building is what she says she thinks might be a shepherd hut represented in the design. This one is so cute and so charming. You would think that this is a new design meant to look like an old sampler, but it actually is based on an antique. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to resist starting that, but I haven't started it yet, but it'll be happening soon probably. Here's my one little finish. I forced myself to finish something, so of course it was something small. This is from Little by Little Design Company, and it's called the Christmas Heart. Here's the, oh, here it is, sorry about that. It's just so wonky and cute. I loved it. I did make a few changes here, like I made this a little more straight, and then I picked up some of my favorite leaf and flower motifs and copied them. I don't know, I dropped something else out, and I used, I dropped a couple different flowers out and just repeated some of the ones over again. And then I took out a little bit of the teal where it was used for leaves and trees and replaced that with more of a grassy green. But generally, you know, it's pretty close to the original design. So adorable. And on the sheep, I couldn't resist putting a little edging his head and ears and like the outline of him. I did a little bit of a wool silk thread blend. So he appears a little fuzzy. So anyway, thought that was a cutie. Alexander's of Lyntrathen, which is a chart from Hands Across the Sea samplers, and this is the original, or this is the reproduction, sorry. 1829, and you can see it's very densely packed with stitching, and it's colorful, and I just thought that was cool. So anyway, I started on that, and I have subsequently, like everything, made a lot of changes to it, but you know, the overall feel of it will be the same. But here is mine. I've got the upper left-hand corner done, and then I started working down the left edge so that I could get to those people. So, and then that lower left corner is completely finished now where the people are. I don't think I'm gonna be able to cram anything else into that. And then on the original, there's a couple little creatures, a couple little pets, and so I took those out and I put in my dogs, Trixie and Molly. She's our new puppy. So, and I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out. I added more bottles around the woman and added some different colors. And I put maybe a couple more flowers in the man, around the man. I gave him his legs a darker color so they would show up. And a couple other little design tweaks on the two of them. But they're jaunty, triangular people. What else can I say about that? The woman, I don't know what her occupation is. Is she a bartender, an innkeeper, an alcoholic, an apothecary? But I thought that was funny that she's surrounded by bottles, so I just kept pushing it. So these big block letters down there, they are 9 cross stitches to a block, and then the letters are made out of those blocks. And they're also backstitched either horizontally or vertically in between, horizontally or vertically in between the rows, and then each little block is outlined. So it's actually about double the stitching for that. You do all the X's, but then the outlining, all the X's are 18, stitches, and then the outlining is about the same amount of stitching on top of that. So it's pretty labor intensive style, but it's got a cool, I haven't seen it before, it's pretty cool looking. And here's my partial floss thread ring for that. Gee whiz, aren't those pretty? Such a pleasure to work with these. And I guess so far, now that I've gotten a few samplers almost done, well underway, my colors that I've used more repeatedly than others are two, Silken Colors SNC. I've got In the Reds and Forest of Greens. And they both have like this pretty big range of hue in them. And, you know, they're use them for certain certain things they're great for. Other things you want more of a solid color, or something with a little less variation in it. But anyway, those are, I think, are proving to be my favorites. Here's the chart. This is from Hands Across the Sea also. And in the last video, it's kind of funny because I was just starting to talk about the Alexanders of Lyntrathen, and I didn't even get through the sentence, and this one came into my head, and you can see my eyes go, you know. So after we did that video, I went out and bought this book because I love this one so much. This one, I'm doing my usual high maintenance reshuffling of some of the elements. I decided to regularize the border, and let's see, I'll go into a little bit of the process of that if anybody's ever interested. The gist of it is that on old samplers, usually the corners are all different designs, presumably because somebody has a pattern for a border, and the little girl started in one corner and just came to the end and was like, oh, okay, I'm turning the corner now. There's no design for a corner. She just started going down this way and then hit the bottom and started going back across this way. So what I like to do is I just like to make the corners uniform. So what you have to do that is you have to figure out the center point. And then if you have a small repeat like this, it's easier than if it's a large repeat. But anyway, with this one, I just started with the center and made this be in the center, centered this. And then I went about as far over as I figured I had to go based on this. And then I figured out the way to make the corner would be to just have sort of one leg coming down from the inside corner to the outside corner. And then I could just start going up here. I'll show you where I'm at right now. So far I have the bottom border completely done. And I started coming up this corner and this corner. And then I just put in sort of the baseline up to near the top, but not, I can't finish across the top yet. This is what I ended up doing for the corner. And so I just let this one finish, and then I picked up and started going this way off of this as if it was, I don't know how to explain it, but you know, it's a little dicey sometimes. You're kind of rolling the dice. You're taking a little bit of a gamble if it's going to work out or not. This is probably the easiest one that I've done, working out how to make them uniform. So up at the top, I don't really know where I'm going to end up. There's 2 partial rows of alphabets up there, so I'm going to leave the top open like this until all of this is done up here, and then I'll know if the repeat, how many more repeats I have to do up the side to get to the top, and then, you know, go over and do the top center, or how many, or I might need to fill in a little bit, like put another little alphabet up there or something. So another thing I did on this one is I did center some of the elements, like on the original chart, this motif and this stem, I guess it is, and the rooftop and the doorway and the bottom of the, you know, all of this was kind of centered, but it was like a little off. It didn't take much to make it centered, so I just centered everything. Some people don't like that because it takes away some of the imperfect charm of it. But I find that if I don't do that, it stands out to me. So my theory is that if something's going to bother you and you're going to notice it every time you look at it, you should just change it. You should just fix it. Now that's not a purist reproduction standpoint, obviously. Some people when they're doing samplers want to do everything exactly as it's charted. And I understand that, I get that. But you know, I mean, and some people go to extremes, like there'll be, you know, like the little girl made an obvious error, and the chart reproduces that error because it's, you know, trying to recreate the original as accurately as possible. But then sometimes when people are stitching that error, they miscount something, and then they will undo it all to get the error back in it, or, you know, whatever, to get the correct errors in it instead of their own errors. Well, I don't really see the logic in that. I do appreciate trying to make it like the original as much as possible. I get that, but so I'm not a purist with that. I like to fix some of the stuff and then leave other things as is. I leave most of it as is. The other change I made on this one is with this section here. On the chart, on the original, it has the purple flower and then the pink, and then this is not the mirror image, but it's the rotated version of it. So the purple flowers here and the pink flowers here. And I thought, you know, there's kind of some open space up here. I'll bet there would be room to pack it a little tighter and have it be mirror image. So that's what I did. So on mine, I have half of a purple flower down here. Everything else is the same up to the red pink flower. And then this part up here is different. I just repeated this down here up here. So it's half a purple, pink and red, half a purple, and then this side will be the exact same side as this, just flipped. So that's a kind of a big change, and I definitely had to do some mental gymnastics to figure that out. I did not chart it, but I figured out how to do it. And I made a couple mistakes, I think, because you kind of have to think inside out and backwards, kind of. But I'm very happy with how that turned out. Let's see, another thing about this is I like, because I'm into genealogy, I like to do little tributes to my family ancestry. And so I have a lot of Scottish ancestors, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to, I noticed this guy, he's got kind of a skull for a head, and that reminded me of Macbeth, where he's holding the skull like this and looking at it and says, "Alas, poor Yorick." So I thought I could do like a little Shakespeare tribute, and so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have him holding, instead of holding his walking stick or whatever, I'm gonna have him holding a skull. How nerdy does it get? And then I'm gonna, one of my family names on that branch is Macbeth, which is a form of Macbeth, or it's related. And so part of Macbeth, there's a part about the three witches and a couple other references to the area of Scotland where they're from, which is the northeast, which is not, I don't know, doesn't seem like very populated. And so I thought that'd be fun to kind of add the name Macbeth somewhere in here, and or maybe some initials or something. So that'll be my little homage to my family on that one. And then here's a partial thread ring for the Old Scott, minus the pinks and the reds. This is, I'm still working on putting this together. And then I also subbed out the bright turquoise in it for this. I still wanted blue, but I just wanted it to be a little different. So this is a much more muted turquoise blue. It's called Sage, and it's one of the more gorgeous threads I've seen. Love it. So the last thing I wanted to share was after I got that great book about vintage needlework tools, I was motivated to get this out. I had kind of packed away for safekeeping. And I've been meaning to share it on Instagram and FlossTube for a while. But anyway, so today's the day. This is a sewing basket that I inherited from my, I guess I got it from my grandmother, but it was actually from my grandfather's side of the family. My dad's side of the family. And it is a very old sewing basket. It's leather on the outside. It's kind of lined with a textured paper on the inside. It has these leather handles that are pretty worn out. And then it had a leather strap here that locks into this clasp thing, which still works, but the leather broke. The piece of leather is missing here. It's got a little bit of a detail on the top. It's got a little bit of a detail on the side. This is the bottom of it. Anyway, it's just such a treasure. And it came with a bunch of little, mostly sewing related baubles, which I'm going to show you in painstaking detail. One of the coolest things about this is that they're actually, and I didn't realize this when I first got it. I think I had it for a little bit before I realized that on the lid is actually written the name Sara Pugh, and it says 1835. Now, my great grandmother's name was Caroline Pugh, and I think we knew that it came from that family or somebody in that branch, but she had an older sister named Sara, and it's logical that this was her sister's then, and maybe when she got a little older, she had a nicer one, and this became a hand-me-down. I don't know, but that's kind of my working theory. Interestingly, their father was a tailor, and I don't know if you're like me, but a little detail about that, knowing that one of your ancestors, you know, made things for a living like that, is pretty exciting. So anyway, I just am so happy to have this, and so I'll show you what came in it. I don't know how much of this stuff actually you know, dates back to the same time, or just got thrown in there separately over the years or what, but anyway, there's one thing I know for sure goes with it, and that's this little mirror. It's outlined in the same paper that the sewing box is lined in. So it came with that little mirror. Came with this little ceramic jug. I don't know, it does look very old. I don't know if that's from that time period or not. It has something stamped on it. I haven't figured out what that says yet. It has a little broken handle. I've got this little, feels like a metal rocking horse. Feels like a little metal token. There's a couple little pieces of orange wax, which is nothing. It's not valuable or anything. But there was also a little stamp in it that's a heart and hand motif on the handle, and then the stamp part is just like a basic crosshatch pattern on the bottom, you know, for sealing wax, I assume. Now, I don't think this has anything to do with sewing, but this would have just been like a little keepsake box to that girl, I assume. There's also a tiny little screwdriver. I thought at first it was an awl, but I realized one end of it does have like a flattened, squared off edge to it. But it looks very old also. How old screwdrivers go back, or how far screwdrivers go back. I've got a couple tiny little crochet hooks, which I guess, I mean, what do you do with that? You make lace? Is it? I don't know. 2 thimbles came in it. One of them has, and they look very old to me. One of them has the initials AJ. I haven't figured out if that has any relevance or not to my family. And the other one has some stamps on it that are decorative, and there's at least one letter on it, but I haven't been able to figure out anything other than that. And I don't see a silver hallmark anywhere on it, but it does feel like one of them is silver. So anyway, these thimbles came in it. I'll show some close-up pictures. It also had this very primitive, handmade looking shuttle with thread on it. And to me, it looks like it was hand-carved hickory. So it'd be really interesting to find out what the deal is with that. I got a brass hat pin in there. I've got what looks like an early needle, because it's sort of irregular, and you can kind of see, it looks like the eye was soldered on top of it, which is interesting. What else do I have? A couple more things in there. There was a little, what I think looks like a dance card pencil. I have no idea what vintage this is. I can't imagine this is from the 1800s, but maybe it is. I don't know. There's a little thread. Nothing big there. Okay, there's also a very interesting needle. It's like a big, I don't know if you can see there, it's got two eyes. It has a large eye and then a tiny eye right above it. Now the end of it is blunt, and it looks like the head of a finish nail, but at the tip of a needle. So what's that for? I don't know. The other thing that's interesting about it is it actually has some stamped designs across the flat edge part of the needle. So I'd be really interested to find out what this was for. Anyway, then I have a very nice bone or ivory needle case, and it's got quite a bit of staining patina on it. The top is also interesting because the top kind of is metal maybe and spins around. Actually, there's something like that on both ends. And then possibly a matching or similar scale also in ivory or bone, I guess, maybe. Then there was a little baby ring in a ring box. Oh my gosh, there's something else in here that I didn't see. It's a baby pin. So it's like a little gold pin and a little gold ring, baby ring, with a charm ring soldered on top of it. And this, oh, it's a double-sided ring box. That's interesting. See, it's got a place to hold it on both sides. And then there's, oh no, see, I missed this too. Okay, and then this is one side of the box. And this is Fred Bear, watchmaker and jeweler, 1403 Market Street, St. Louis. That's where all these people are from, is St. Louis. And then the other end was just plain, but I think my grandmother wrote something on it. And it says Edith, which was my grandfather's sister, or her sister-in-law. And then a time, something PM. So I don't know if this was like a little baby memento of my Aunt Edith or what, but anyway, I know that this does not date back to the sewing box, but this is just a little thing that my grandma had, you know, for safekeeping in this sewing box. One of my favorite things in the box is this shuttle, and I think it's rosewood. And I'll have to put in pictures of it. But on one side is a design carved into the wood of a woman, and her dress looks like, you know, mid 1800s, I would say. On the other side is a gentleman in a suit. And this thing is just the best because, You know, it's not banged up at all. It's in fantastic condition, but you can tell how old it is both from the patina on it and the type of thing that it is, and the dress of the people that have been carved into this. So I'm pretty excited to have that. And then another thing that was in it is this little metal filigree design, which I would have thought was much more modern day, but I have found some stuff very similar to this in that book that I just got, and it dates it, some of them to 18th century, and so 1700s, and others were 1800s. So this is older. If it's like those other things, and it looks like it is, this is very old also. So anyway, that is one of my most cherished treasures, both because it's sewing related stuff, it's a cool miniature container, and it's from the family, which is really neat. So anyway, guys, that is all I have to share for today. I hope you enjoyed that very long, verbose, rambling account of my recent purchases, my recent stitching whips, and some little treasures. So until next time, I hope everybody stays safe and well and happy, and hopefully Janet will be in on the next one, and I'll see you again in another month or so, or a few weeks, or I don't know, whatever. Bye.